I blanked out. Apparently, I was out for 5 minutes, and my heart had stopped. I had a massive fear of food. Like, you put food in front of me, I wouldn't eat it at all. I was under 50 pounds in body weight, so it
Holy
was
cow.
literally there was nothing on my body whatsoever. I was doing about 120 miles an hour at this time, and all I kept on thinking about was the only way you're going to get rid of this emotional pain is maybe tonight is the night. Tonight's the night. If you speed the car up and hit a pole as hard as you can, this will be all over.
Welcome. Today we have with us Mark from Dublin, Ireland. He's going to, I guess, share with us his background. I guess I saw something about both anorexia and obesity in the background, which is kind of an interesting combo. Maybe you can just maybe start with telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, first of all, Shawn, again, thanks for having me on. So yeah, I've been in the fitness industry now for just over 25 years, but I started off very, very young. I was always into fitness. I was always into sports, but I was always one of those obese kids. And I would never be picked on a sports team. I was always picked last in the sports team. Never had any confidence, but I love sports. And I always wanted to mix in with the crowds, and I could never do it because I was carrying too much weight. So it really, really got to me, and it really, really knocked my confidence. So back then we didn't have social media. We only had magazines. So I remember walking into my shop and I saw this front cover bodybuilder on the front cover, and I said to myself, I'd love to look like that. And this is around 13, 14 years of age. So I picked it up and I flipped through the pages, and I was watching this guy. I was watching these people training at home, and that's when I started. I started going home. I started doing press ups, like pull ups. I used to do like basic stuff like ab workouts and just running. That's all because I had no money at that time. And it worked for a while. I did it for about 2 or 3 months, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I got in decent shape. Everything was going really, really well. And then my mother asked me one day, why don't you not just join a gym? So the next day I woke up and I said, right, I'm going to go down to my local gym and I'm going to ask the owner, can I use the gym a couple of days a week? And he said, yeah, no problem. So got hooked into that, fell in love with the place, started going to the gym around 3 days a week. Then it was 4, then it worked up to 5. And then eventually I was going pretty much every single day. And I would have been training about maybe a half an hour each day. And then eventually it went up to 2 hours a day. And during that time, I was learning a little bit about nutrition, calorie deficits, the type of food that I need to eat. And back then, the type of food that I was eating was horrendous. I would have been eating a lot of cereals, just processed food pretty much. But I was always in a deficit. I was always just tracking my food on a week-to-week basis. And I did that for over 2 years. And it got really, really bad to the point where I didn't even realize that I was losing too much weight until we were away on a family holiday. And back then we didn't have remote controls to switch the TV off or switch it on. So I got up off the chair, went to switch the channel on the TV, and all of a sudden then I don't remember what happened after that. I blanked out. Apparently I was out for 5 minutes, and my heart had stopped. I was looking around. I was like, what's going on here? They eventually brought me back, but then I was brought into the hospital over in that country. And they brought me into this eating disorder unit. And they told me, you're going to be here for a couple of weeks. We can't send you home. You're going to be here for at least 2 or 3 weeks. So I said, fine. At this point, I had a massive fear of food. Like, you put food in front of me, I wouldn't eat it at all. So they wanted to put me on a drip. They put me on a drip throughout the day. Every time they left, I would take it out. I'd put it into a cup and I'd pour it down the toilet. Every time they fed me every 2 hours, I wouldn't even eat it. I just put it in the bin. And that went on for a couple of days. And during that time, I was told that, listen, you need to eat. These people were just telling me, like, listen, you need to eat. And the type of nutrition they were giving me would have been like weight gainer shakes, like protein bars. Like, again, the food would have been horrendous, like really, really bad. And I didn't know anything about nutrition back then. I was like, okay, I'm not eating it. I don't like eating food. At this stage, I was in a really, really bad way. When I went into the hospital and they weighed me, I would have been around around 15, maybe 16 years of age, and I was under 50 pounds in body weight. So it
Holy
was
cow.
literally, there was nothing on my body whatsoever. I was literally running on fumes at this stage. And then my mother came in. This is around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night time when I was asleep. And she held my hand. And I'll never forget it. She told me that she didn't want to lose me. And she literally cried in front of me, saying to me that she didn't want to lose me. And I was like, okay, my mother's crying here. I need to do something about this. So the next day, it just hit me. It was like, okay, I need to do something about this. So I was in the doctor's hands. I said, okay, you guys are the experts. You guys can help me. I'm just going to do whatever you guys tell me. So I just followed the procedures. Whatever food they gave me, I just had. So I put the weight back on, but I didn't feel good. Didn't feel good at all. So I did that for about a year, maybe no, I think it was 2 or 3 years. I was in rehab, about 2 or 3 years. So fast forward, I was around 18, 19 years of age. My parents had told me that, listen, you're never going through that ever again. So they wanted it put some discipline into me. So they wanted me to go into a rugby school. And I'm not sure if you know anything about rugby, but these guys are like huge, massive guys. And they told me, like, listen, you're gonna go in here. They're gonna teach you how to put on muscle. They're gonna teach you how to put on weight. You're gonna be looked after. They paid a lot of money for me to do this, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So I went in, met the owner, and I was working with two coaches. And these people brought me into the gym. They showed me how to lift weights, compound lifts, all that kind of stuff, power lifts, all that kind of stuff. And they put me on this diet. And they told me that you're gonna be eating 6 to 7 times a day, pretty much every 2 hours. And the majority of my diet was heavily carbohydrate based. But back then, I thought it was healthy because they were telling me a lot of sweet potatoes, rice, oats, all that kind of stuff. And I would have been eating a lot of lean sources of chicken, fish, turkey, all that kind of stuff. So in my head, I was thinking I was eating very, very healthy. So I was like, okay, you guys are the experts. You guys are helping me to put on muscle. Okay, let's do it. So I did that for about 6 years. And when I started off, I think it was around 140 pounds, something like that. And 6 years later, I blew up to over 300 pounds. And I was only 5'3". I'm only a small guy. And 300 pounds on my frame is a lot of weight. So I felt powerful. I felt really, really good. I felt confident when I walked into the gym. I was lifting a lot of weight. I felt really, really good, like powerfully and strong. But my mental health was being affected. I couldn't last 10 minutes on the pitch. Couldn't last 10 minutes. Every time I walked up the stairs, I was out of breath. I was sweating on a regular basis. So I was like, this is not normal. So I escaped from that. And during that time, I had qualified as a PT. So I knew a little bit about nutrition. So I said, right, I can't do this anymore. This is having a major impact on my health here. I need to get rid of this. So then I started experimenting on myself. So this is when I went into like calories in, calories out. I did that for years. And then eventually I came across carb backloading, where I was keeping my carbs low throughout the day, and then I was having carbs pretty much at nighttime, or I was just putting my carbohydrates in around my workouts. Because the carbohydrates, I always felt that carbohydrates didn't agree with me. For some reason, I couldn't figure it out. Every time I ate carbohydrates, I just didn't feel good. I was always tired. I had no energy. I just felt horrendous. I just felt crap. My mental health was being affected. So I was like, okay, something wrong here. So then I came across keto. And I was like, and it was by accident, to be honest with you, because I just replaced the carbohydrates. I said, right, what about if I just replace the carbohydrates and just eat a little bit more fat? And the fat that I introduced was like avocados, peanut butter, almond butter, just those kind of stuff, olive oil. But it was never any saturated fats because I had a fear of saturated fat. I thought, like, if you eat too many saturated fats, it's going to lead to your cholesterol is going to be elevated. It's going to lead to heart disease, that kind of stuff. We were all taught this in college. That's where I was taught in college anyway. So that's what I was having. I was having a lot of protein. Fat sources were not the best, and I was eating a lot of vegetables. And again, I got in amazing shape, but I couldn't stick to it. Amazing shape I got into, but I was always my mental health was the biggest thing for me. I could never fix it. I was always struggling with my mental health, and I was on the verge many, many times of ending my life, many, many times. It was really that bad. and I felt the diet would fix that. And I was always experimenting on myself to see could I find it myself, because I didn't want to be in a situation where I'd have to be in a doctor's hands and be on antidepressants for the rest of my life. I always felt that I'm a fitness coach. I should be able to figure this out myself. And I couldn't. I couldn't do it. And then one night I spoke to my girlfriend at the time, and we had a 5-year-old child. And I told her out straight. I said, "Listen, I think you're better off without me. I think you'd be much better off if I wasn't here." That's how bad I was in. And then a couple of days later, I said to myself, "Okay, listen, I'm in so much pain here. This is like 12 o'clock at night time. I'm in so much pain here, emotional pain here. I'm just going to go for a drive." So I went on the highway. I was doing about 120 miles an hour at this time. And all I kept on thinking about was the only way you're going to get rid of this emotional pain is maybe tonight is the night. Tonight's the night. If you speed the car up and hit a pole as hard as you can, this will be all over. And I was very, very close to doing it. I put my foot down. I was mentally prepared for it. Put my foot down on the accelerator, and I was ready to go. Within 2 minutes of hitting the pole, I'll never forget it. My daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, shouted in my ear, "Don't do it, Daddy." That's all I heard. And ever since then, I stopped the car, put my head in the steering wheel, and I cried. I cried for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I begged the Lord to help me. Begged him. I said, "Listen, there's something wrong with me. Please, please help me. What's wrong with me? Please, please help me." So I couldn't go back home, and I never spoke to my girlfriend about this. Never. I said, "Right, okay, I'm a man. I can deal with this. This is what we do. Men just hide their feelings and they say, right, we'll deal with this." So I said, right, I'm going to try and get through this myself. So again, I was looking for answers everywhere. And then I came across this podcast, and this bodybuilder was talking about carnivore. I had never heard of carnivore in my life. And I was like, okay, I'll listen to this because I've tried everything else. So what's the harm? So I just said, well, I'll listen to it. And the more I listened to it, his story resonated with mine. Every bit of it. I was like, wow. And then the more he kept on talking, and he just said he just ate meat and not vegetables, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to try it. When this is over, I'm going to try it. I went home and I said, right, I'm going to buy some steaks. I'm going to buy a lot of red meats and make sure it has a good amount of fat on it. I'm going to have some beef tallow as well. And I'm just going to have salt and water. And I'm going to do that for a week. Just let's do it for a week. Within 3 days, my mental health issues were gone. I could not believe it. Couldn't believe it. I was waking up out of bed with a purpose now. Most days I was waking up out of bed and I didn't want to be here. I was talking my way out of it many, many times. I don't want to be here. Like, that's it. I was struggling to get up out of bed. 3 days later, I was jumping up out of bed. I had this different lease of life. I couldn't wait to get my day started. I had so much more energy, amazing energy I had. My gut issues were gone. Just amazing feeling. And I decided to do it for another month. And I said to myself, right, okay, if this is doing amazing things on me, I'm going to do it for 3 months. I'm going to research this stuff as much as I possibly can. So I looked into yourself, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Shafee, Dr. Kills. I researched it every single day. I heard so many testimonials. I was like, wow, how do people not know about this? So I decided to do more research on it because I said to myself, right, I'm going to coach this, but I need to know exactly what I'm talking about before I actually go out into the real world and start talking about this. So I did it for 6 months straight, non-stop. I studied it every single day. And ever since then, I've been doing this now for 4 years. 4 years carnivore now. I haven't touched a carbohydrate or vegetable in 4 years. I feel fantastic. I've worked with over 200 people now that are actually doing carnivore at the moment, like keto. And a lot of people start with keto and then they go into carnivore. And it's amazing. It's amazing how you see these people transform into the person they should be. These people would have been having issues with type 2 diabetes, obesity. A lot of the people that I work with at the moment are getting ready to go on these GLP-1s injections. But I feel that you can do that through the diet. I've proved it so many times. You can do it through the diet. And yeah, that's where I am at the moment.
Wow. Very powerful stuff. So you went from 50 pounds, super malnourished to 300 pounds at 5'3", obese. I'm just imagining, because I do know quite a bit about rugby. I played professionally in New Zealand when I was younger, and so just wondering, what position you're playing at 5'3", 300 pounds. Maybe they got you as a prop or maybe a hooker or something
Yeah,
like that. I'm not
yeah.
sure where they would put you.
I was a prop. I was always in the hurdles. I was a big guy. This is what these guys wanted me to do. They wanted me to pack on so much weight because I would have been up against like some powerful lads on the pitch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some strong people out there playing. And Ireland is no slouch when it comes to rugby, as you know. I
No.
mean, they did very well in the last World Cup.
Mm.
But I mean, it's interesting because you went from extremely, undernourished, anorexic, obese. You also got in very good shape, physically fit, and all those dietary strategies. And I imagine the inpatient strategy that they had. I've talked to a number of anorexic, particularly women, and it's just, they force you to eat. They want you to eat, and sometimes it's just junk. And because they don't want you to have fear of food, and it doesn't work very well, from my understanding. But
No.
through all that, none of those strategies, even when you were physically in good shape, was helping your mental health. And it may have been just a complete avoidance. Sounds like you were at some point avoiding animal fat or limiting it to some degree. And then when you finally embraced it, it seems like it helped your mental health. Is that a fair statement to say that? Hey, folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker here. Hey, if you or someone you love is suffering from chronic disease and you're tired of just managing symptoms with potions, pills, and procedures, I want you to check out Revero.com. Our team of dedicated professionals is committed to tackling the root cause of your issue and finally getting you healthy. Hurry up, though. Our spaces are filling up very quickly.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that was the main problem I had. I was just feeding my body the wrong food. It was definitely impacting my brain, and this is the reason why I had all these suicidal thoughts. My mental health was always horrendous, and this was at a very young age. I could never fix it, and I always thought that I just need to be healthy. In order to be healthy, I just need to lose the weight. And I did that so many times. I would gain the weight, I would lose the weight, I would gain the weight, I would lose the weight. I was never in a position where it was sustainable. Never. I would easily just pack the weight back on very quickly. And that's what made me feel really crap about myself. I could never figure it out. And I got down to like I think when I was on around 6 meals a day, the lowest I got percentage wise body fat was around 8% body fat. But
That's pretty lean.
going down that low in body fat, as you know, is not sustainable. I loved looking at myself. I loved seeing the abs, but it was never ever sustainable for me at all. Whereas now I'm eating, I don't track anything. I don't track any calories at all, and I'm in better condition than I was 20 years ago.
That's impressive. Yeah. And so what do you weigh currently, approximately, if you know?
I'm about 165 at the moment.
165. So probably decent amount of muscle still. You still hit the gym and train?
Yeah, go to the gym 3 days a week. I'm only in the gym a half an hour, 40 minutes max. I usually do full body sessions. And I enjoy my workouts now. Whereas before, it was always a torture to go to the gym. I always had to force myself to go to the gym. Now I go when I want to go. I listen to my body. My body's telling me it's showtime. Today's the workout. Today I'll go and train today. If my body tells me today's the day, you need to take a day off, I'll take a day off. Whereas before I would never take a day off the gym. I was always one of those people that would go to the gym every single day. It was like an addiction, constant addiction, punishing myself. If I ate something that I shouldn't eat, I would make sure I'm in the gym the next day and I would burn it off. That's the kind of mentality I had back then.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, you'd mentioned the whole time you struggle with mental health. I mean, is that completely resolved at this point?
100%. Haven't had any issues with my mental health in 4 years.
How has adopting a carnivore diet impacted your relationship with your family, your daughter, that type of stuff?
Much better. Much better. I spend more time. I'm not angry anymore. I don't feel that anxiety around people now is gone. I'm just more relaxed. I want to spend time with them now. Whereas before, I didn't want to be around anybody. even my family. I just wanted to be on my own. Whereas now I have a new lease of life. I'm a lot happier. I'm way happier than what I was in the past. I love spending time with my family now. And my purpose in life now is my family, because for so long I pushed them to the side. For so long, it was all about myself. It was all about my ego. It was all about me. I'm selfish. Cook my meals, um, rest, go to bed regularly, eat every couple of hours. I never put them first ever. It was always myself. I need to look a certain way. If I want to be happy, I need to look a certain way. So now it's completely different. I put them first now, always.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess some people will call that maybe orthorexia or something like that, where you just, you can't function in life because of, compulsive desire to, look a certain way or something like that, which, I mean, there's a point where it's good to care about what you look like. And I think it makes sense to make sure you can function well and be physically fit. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But then when it becomes, an overwhelming obsession to the point where everything else is falling apart, it's a problem there.
Mm.
As far as, well, let me ask you, in Ireland, how challenging is it to do a carnivore diet? Is it quite, I mean, Irish beef is heralded as wonderful beef, although there's been some pressure to, in Ireland, by some people that I think are crazy, quite honestly, trying to, limit the beef supply there. Is that what's it like there?
It's really bad. That's the reason why I never chose to have the carnivore name, because if you mention carnivore in this country, they just think you're crazy, absolutely crazy. And I've had these conversations with many people here, and it's not like I'm forcing anything onto them. I'm just educating them, and I just say to them, like, listen, have you ever heard of it? Have you ever tried it? You'll never know what it's like unless you actually try it. But people are so against it; it's unbelievable. It's incredible. And this is why I love having these conversations with the likes of yourself and people that are overseas, because I can't have these conversations with people in Ireland. And it's very frustrating when you live in a country where people are absolutely convinced that the doctors are right, the nutritionists are right, the dietitians are right. But when you look around, so many people are suffering. It's clear to see. You see people that are my age that are in wheelchairs. I saw a guy yesterday that was like, he's a few years younger than me. He's in a wheelchair. He's got unbelievable amount of water retention in his legs. You can see he's in a really bad way, and you can clearly see that he's on a lot of medication, and he's on the wrong diet. And I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to like speak to people over here. I have my own public speaking event at the end of the year that I've set up. I'm hoping a lot of people attend it. It's going to be a free event. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to push the narrative and say, you know what, we've been listening to one voice now for way too long, but we're still in a massive health crisis. So something's going wrong. And that's why I try and explain to people that maybe the information that we've been given about our nutrition is wrong. Maybe that the information that we've been told about fats is wrong. Maybe the information we've been told about eating cholesterol and carbohydrates are your main source of energy. This is all wrong. So this is what I'm trying to do at the moment. I'm just trying to spread awareness in my country, because it's really bad at the moment, extremely bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll have some success with that. I know there's some other folks in Ireland that maybe not a lot, but they're there, and maybe you guys can link up and form a little bit of a coalition or something. I know the farmers would appreciate it for sure. And a lot of
100%.
times, yeah, if you let them know, because one of the things I've found over the years is that as I started reaching out to various ranchers and farmers and letting them know how much health people are getting from their product, they didn't know that. They were under the same belief system that everybody else, that red meat is bad and we should limit it. And in my experience, it's been the complete opposite, that people get so much better. So obviously mental health has improved significantly. You're at a happy physical function. Anything else you've noticed has improved by going carnivore? Just anything at all? Weird stuff, maybe?
I think the main thing for me is just my mental clarity and my energy, and how things are so much easier for me going forward. I'm not overthinking about anything anymore. I think that's just the biggest one. My mental clarity is just so on point now. I wake up so much earlier. Like before, I would struggle to get up out of bed. Now I'm waking up every day at like 3 a.m. I don't feel I need as much sleep as what I used to. I don't feel like I need to eat as regularly either. I only eat 2 meals a day. I can actually get away with eating 1 meal a day if I want to. Um, I don't have that angry feeling around food anymore. And you're talking to someone that used to eat like nearly 9 times a day. So I don't have that feeling where I have to wake up in the middle of the night and down a protein shake or have a banana to keep me going. Like I can have one big massive meal and I'll be fine. Now I have 2 meals a day. My first meal is usually around 12, and my second is usually around 8. Um, but I'd say I think the main ones are for me are the mental clarity and the getting rid of the hunger, because the hunger was a big thing for me. I struggled with food noise for a very very long time. Food freedom was a big thing for me as well. I couldn't understand why I had to eat every 2 hours. Every 2 hours I was always hungry, always. And so that was the biggest thing for me. And I was always convinced that when I ate like steak and eggs, this is never going to fill me. Never going to fill me, because I had such a big appetite. But I remember having my first steak and eggs, and I struggled to finish it. Like literally struggled to finish it. And then when I did finish it, I could go for about 8 or 10 hours without eating any more food. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like my hunger issues now are well controlled. I don't have these regular cravings. I'm not craving sugar anymore. Because again, that was another big factor for me. I was always craving sugar. Every couple of hours, I would have to have something with my meal, either a piece of fruit or chocolate or whatever it is. I used to always have something sweet with my meal all the time. So that's another big thing for me. How I'm able to control my hunger, how I'm able to shut off those sugar cravings is just huge for me at the moment.
And, you said in the past you'd eat every 2 hours. What is it like today? Is it, 2 meals a day or something like that? Is that typical for you?
Yeah, 2 meals a day. I pretty much have the same meals every single day. I'll have some steak, eggs, and ground beef. I might have some lamb also, but that's pretty much it. I'm pretty much on a lion diet at the moment. Um, on the odd occasion, I'll have some eggs, but it's primarily red meat. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just feel the best when I do it this way. It feels so much better. Whereas with the eggs, unless I remove the whites and just focus on the yellows, then I'm completely fine. But I find that when I go strict line, just eat pretty much salt, water, and red meat, I feel at my best. And I'm at a stage in my life now where everything's going really, really well. I don't want to jeopardize that. I don't miss what I used to eat in the past. I just feel really, really good. I don't struggle when we're in restaurants. I don't have that guilt that if I go out to a restaurant, I'm just going to order a steak. I'm past all that now. So I can still have a social life. And I have been out many, many times and I've just ordered a steak and people look at me and they're like, you're going to have a heart attack. It's only a matter of time you're going to have a heart attack. I remember I was in a restaurant there about 6 months ago, and this couple across from me, I ordered two steaks, and I had a little bit of butter on it. And these guys were staring at me for about 10 minutes, and then they eventually asked me, "Are you not worried about your cholesterol?" Now these guys were worried about my cholesterol while these were eating a dessert. They were drinking alcohol throughout the night. They must have been on their third course meal, and I was like you're worried about my cholesterol with the amount of sugar that you guys are eating. Now I didn't get into the conversation because I would have been here all night talking about it, and I just wanted to spend a bit of time with my other half. But it's incredible how the pushback is at the moment. Everybody's just focusing on uh, our cholesterol. Everybody keeps on talking about like your LDL. Are you not worried? I've been at the doctor. I've been to the doctor a few times. I've got my blood work done. My blood work has come up perfect, but he always mentions cholesterol. I think my highest cholesterol in the 4 years was something over 400 or something like that, about 420, 430 or something like that. It was really, really high. And he was absolutely convinced that I was going to have a heart attack. And I just had to say to him, like, listen, look at me. I look amazing. I feel amazing. Like what other evidence do you want? And he was like, do you mind if I book you in for a CAC scan? I said, yeah, no problem. So booked in a week later. And went in. The guy done my test, and it came up 0. Nothing wrong with my heart whatsoever.
How old are you? Just out of curiosity.
I'm 52.
52. Okay. Well, that's a good place to start. Yeah. And I think that mine at 52 is also 0. So, um, yeah, fair enough on that. That's I would certainly recommend pretty much anyone over 40, probably get a CHC score regardless of what your diet and regardless of what your cholesterol is, because it's helpful information. So that's definitely a good sign there. No scurvy 4 years in, I assume. No scurvy.
Nope.
No, has your thyroid crashed, or have you had rampant hypercortisolemia where your cortisol's out of control, as many people will postulate happens?
No, everything's perfect. My stress levels are exactly where they should be. My thyroid is functioning exactly the way it should be. My health is just in the best it's ever been. So no, everything's just working absolutely the way it should be.
Yeah, that's great news. How has well, I guess you mentioned, I don't know if your parents are still in the picture, are they still around? If they're still around, have they noticed anything with you from changing, because they've known you your whole life, I assume, probably more. They've known you more than anybody.
Well, my parents are still here, but my parents-in-law, they passed away last year to cancer. Now my parents are absolutely convinced that this diet is going to kill me eventually. Now my partner's parents passed away last year, and I knew a little bit about carnivore at the time. And we were told back in November 23 that these guys only had 6 months to live, 6 to 7 months to live. And I spoke to my partner. I said, listen, your mother and father needs to listen to me now. I need to have these on a high fat diet. We may not be able to stop it, but we might be able to put it into remission for another couple of years. I was absolutely convinced from the research that I've been studying over the years, I was convinced that these people would be in a better place if they just focused on their diet. And I never got the opportunity to do it because everybody was pushing against me, saying like, "Listen, they're better off in the hospital, in the doctor's hands." And for 6 months, I watched these people deteriorate in front of my eyes. In front of my eyes, the food was really really bad. They were on They were on a lot of medication. I think before she passed away, I think she was taking around 20 pills a day, which was unbelievable. And to this day, these guys were only in their 70s. To this day, it's my biggest regret I didn't do more for these people. Huge regret of mine. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just convinced that what was going on and the way they were fed and the way they pushed this medication on these people, I believe they weren't helping the problem at all. And I can see it with my own parents at the moment. Like my dad's a type 2 diabetic. Um, he's riddled with type 2. I'm absolutely convinced it's only a matter of time before he's going to get his leg removed or his arm removed, and that's how worried I am. My mother's the very very same. My mother drinks quite a lot during the week. She drinks about 3 or 4 days a week, and every time I mention this to these people, they're like, "Well, I've lived my life, so I can do whatever I want now." And my mother and father are only in their 80s, so they're still quite young. And I find it extremely, what's the right word for this? I just find it for me, I just find it a little bit selfish that they want to, I know they want to enjoy their life, but from what I know now, I just don't want to see any harm come to these people. I don't want to see them, I don't want to see them in a situation where there's nothing I can do about it. They're in hospital and they end up passing away in a year's time. And that's what scares me. That's what really, really scares me. Um, and I just wish they would actually listen to me. I know I'm their son, and they're probably thinking that nah, it's not like we were told about fats. Fats are the enemy. It's going to lead to high cholesterol. This is never going to work. And if anything, I'm worried about you, son. So yeah, it's very hard to watch, and it's the same at home. Like I have a daughter, and she's 22, and I've had this conversation with her on many many occasions, but she doesn't listen, and it absolutely kills me when I go out to the shop and I have to buy her food because I'm buying this food and I'm like, I'm literally poisoning my own daughter here. And I'm like, how do you balance that? How do you control that? I think if she was a lot younger, I think I would have been able to control that situation a lot easier. But because now she's 22, she's an adult, she's still living with us. It's like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I actually convince her? And I believe that she'll only listen to me when she becomes desperate. The same with my parents. Like my dad's a type 2 diabetic. I don't know whether he'll ever change his mind. Um, but I'm just hoping that my daughter never gets to that stage where she's in a really, really bad place. She's really, really struggling, and she has to do it. That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm really, really worried about at the moment. And I can clearly see what's going on with her at the moment. She's in college at the moment, and there's an awful lot of stress, a lot of stress. And she's mixing that with the food that she's eating. And she hardly exercises. She's always sitting in her room. She sits in a dark room. So you can clearly see exactly what the problem is. Clearly. I just give her that few points here and there. Let's just switch your food up a little bit. You don't need to get rid of the carbohydrates. Just change them, so let's say healthy carbohydrates, and let's start from there. That's the way I want to approach it. Let's start at the very, very beginning, and let's eventually phase you into what you should be doing for me. But again, it's just so much pushback, and yeah, it's hard when it comes to family. It really is. It's really, really hard when you're trying to approach it around family. But I'm doing my best. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so it's really all you can do. And it's kind of, when I heard you say that your parents said, well, this carnivore diet's eventually going to kill you. Well, I mean, yeah, we're all going to eventually die. I mean, it's one of those things where, none of us are getting out of this thing alive. I don't, I'm not particularly worried about it prematurely shortening my life. I think if anything, it gives me a better quality of life. And, we'll see. I mean, we'll see at the end, what it knows, and you'll never know. You'll never be able to know if I could have lived an extra.
Well, to be honest with you, Shawn, like the way I feel now, like I'll be pretty annoyed if I don't get to 100 eating this way, because I think I can do it. I want to be doing what pretty much the same as you're doing. I know you're in your 60s, you look incredible. I want to be doing pretty much what you're doing. There's other people that I know in the carnivore space that are in their 70s and 80s, and they're thriving. They look incredible. And this is what I'm looking forward to now. Whereas before, I had this fear about getting old. Now I actually embrace it. I'm actually looking forward to what I can do now in the next 30, 40, 50 years. So
yeah, I mean, it's nice that in relationship to your peers, you are, probably outperforming them and have a better level of function than someone that's your age, and in many cases people that are quite a bit younger than you. And but the way I put it is, a carnivore diet allows me to do the things which I think will improve my quality of life. It's not just because I only eat meat. It's because I actually have the capacity to do those other things. And I do a lot, as you probably know, I do a lot of exercise and that type of stuff. And I have a generally healthy lifestyle across the board. So I think carnivore contributes to that significantly. Particularly, I think the biggest thing for me is the absence of any significant joint pain or musculoskeletal pain, which allows me to continue to train, which I love to do. So anyway, it's great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been very fascinating and compelling. Mark, is there anything else we left out that you want to share before we go?
No, I think we nailed pretty much everything.
All right. Well, thank you. Are you on social media at all?
I am, yeah. So I'm on social media at Fitness Beyond Time 01. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. I also have my own podcast. It's called the Carnivore Evolution Podcast. I also do YouTube with two other guys called Peter and Tony. That's called The Meat of the Matter. We answer questions on the carnivore diet. And yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Wonderful. Well, y'all check those out. Give Mark some support. Wonderful story. Thanks for sharing it. You have a wonderful evening there in the beautiful Emerald Isle there, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you down the road again.
Big soon, Shawn. Thanks for having me on.